Good day and welcome to Window Seat and our mini-series on exploring the business aviation industry through the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Stan Cullivus, and today our guest is Steve Davey. Steve is the Chief Operating Officer and Director of Maintenance at Levaero Aviation. Hi, Steve, and thanks for joining us.
How you doing?
So for those that don't know, I myself am in Toronto, and Steve is at our headquarters in Thunder Bay. And Steve, I'll ask you a two-part question. Have you ever seen anything like this throughout your career in aviation, and how has this impacted the way that our aircraft maintenance department is operating?
I think it's safe to say we've never seen anything like this, and I never had ever anticipated, even when we knew it was starting to come across the world, that it would affect us like it has. And I mean, hair's a little longer, a little grayer than it was a few years ago, but you know, we're getting through it. It's certainly we haven't been unscathed by it, and there's been a number of changes we put into place to, you know, really adapt while still offer the services that we do.
And can you speak specifically about a couple of the things that we may be doing differently?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we did, like everybody, we locked down our facility. Which is obviously necessary, but it really made it difficult to do what we normally would do with a lot of direct interaction with our customers. And unfortunately, we have an airplane that arrives and you don't have the, you know, a lot of the face-to-face time that you would normally with a client. So a lot of it's done by email or through telephone, which isn't the way we'd like to do it, not the way we normally would do it over the years. But beyond that, with the shutting down of the hangar to the general public, we've altered our shifts, so we have a minimal number of guys in the hangar at any given time. You try and arrange the jobs, or the crew chief arranges the job, so he has you know, minimal maintenance staff on any one project. We typically have no more than 4 or 5 maintenance guys in the hangar at any given time. And yet we're still trying to keep the staffing levels up that we need to, first of all, get the work done and then provide 24/7 support. You know, and it didn't take long. Everybody fell into the new, you know, the new routines, and we're fortunate with the staff that we have. They're all very accommodating. They're totally understanding of it. Unfortunately, there were some temporary cutbacks through layoffs when the shutdowns first started, and our goal is to get those people called back and back to work as soon as possible. You know, there's things that we've never had to worry about before, other than, you know, with our medevac clients, we were always concerned about the condition of an airplane when it came into the shop, as far as disinfecting and be prepared to find sometimes medical equipment that you wouldn't normally come across. But now we're disinfecting every single airplane that comes into the shop, and we're disinfecting them again before they go back to the customer. Just
in and out.
In and out. The customers, we give them a sign that they can put in the window of the cockpit when they park the airplane that tells us that it has been disinfected.
Sort of like the parking brake on and off sign that people put in.
It says, yeah, the airplane's been cleaned in accordance with Levaero procedures. But at the same time, you know, not to discount the efforts that the customers are making, but we have to go into the airplane and assume that it hasn't been cleaned, and we do that to protect our staff as well. And yeah, and before the airplane is returned back to the customer, we disinfect it again.
It's a great point you make about protecting our own staff, because, well, one, it's, you know, them and being around their families, but also a lot of the aircraft that we support are playing key roles in humanitarian missions, and so we need to keep staffing levels there to support those, like you said, 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what advice would you give somebody who, you know, is an aircraft owner, an operator, during this pandemic with respect to maintenance? Maybe if they aren't flying as much as they were before, is it a good time to do some maintenance now that the aircraft isn't being used, or what would you recommend?
Well, it is to some extent, and what we're trying to stress to the customers is make every shop visit count. You might be planning your maintenance a little further ahead than what you would have before, because we really don't know what's going to happen, even when things start opening up again. Pretty safe to say, I think there's going to be a backlog. It's going to take a while for the shops to get 100% of their staff back up. There's still going to be a lot of travel restrictions, and I think we all know we're not behind this thing yet, and we're very aware of that within our own shop. All we need is one case of COVID, and we're instantly shut down, and we can't take care of those customers that are booked in or counting on us to do the work. So plan the maintenance a little further out. Take advantage of every shop visit to get ahead of your maintenance a bit, and also minimize the number of shop visits and the amount of travel.
Well, that's all really good information, and certainly unprecedented times. And I appreciate you joining me today. And your earlier comment about the hair getting longer during quarantine, I don't think that memo got to Toronto. So maybe it's coming next week.
It's looking a little longer than the last time I saw it, Stan.
Well, fingers crossed, right? Maybe this is what it'll take. So thanks again, Steve, for joining us, and have a good rest of your day. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Stay safe.
See ya. Make sure to tune in to the next episode, as we will be discussing how COVID-19 will impact and change air travel from a business aviation standpoint. Click here to subscribe to our channel.